Despite his public appearances where he's laughing with children or whatnot, William does seem very angry recently. And there have been reports of a rift between him and Charles. William didn't show up.
For decades, the monarchy has stood as a symbol of restraint and power. But nothing could prepare the world for the moment everything appeared to unravel live on television. When King Charles suddenly broke down in tears during a national broadcast, viewers were left stunned as whispers of an unexpected resignation began to spread. Was it pressure, betrayal, or something deeper within the palace walls? As confusion gripped the nation, one question echoed everywhere. What truly pushed the king to such an unimaginable breaking point? And do you really believe King Charles's resignation was for a greater monarchy? Let us know in the comments. To help us create more videos and reveal the real world, please subscribe so more people can discover this. The story of King Charles III's long road to the throne. King Charles III stands in history as a man who waited longer than any other heir to wear the British crown. His journey to the throne was not just long, it was extraordinary. For 70 years and 214 days, he lived in preparation, carrying the weight of expectation while the world watched him grow from a young child into a seasoned public figure. His story began on the 6th of February, 1952. On that day, his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, became queen. At just 3 years old, Charles instantly became the next in line to the throne. While most children his age were learning to read and play, he had already stepped into a lifelong role shaped by duty, tradition, and responsibility. This record-breaking weight placed him far beyond any of his predecessors. Before Charles, the longest wait belonged to his great-great-grandfather, King Edward VII. Edward had waited 59 years and 73 days before becoming king in 1901, following the death of Queen Victoria. Yet even that seemed short compared to Charles's decades-long period of preparation. His wait was not just about time. It was about endurance, patience, and adaptation in a rapidly changing world. But what makes Charles's story even more compelling is that he did not spend those years simply waiting. He worked, consistently, quietly, and often intensely. Especially in the later years of his mother's reign, he took on a significant share of royal duties. Between 2002 and 2022 alone, he carried out more than 10,900 official engagements. These were not symbolic appearances. They were meaningful responsibilities that required presence, diplomacy, and attention to detail. He represented the monarchy on the global stage, attending major international events and state funerals of world leaders. He presided over important ceremonies, honored individuals during investitures, and played a key role in preserving history through his regular involvement with the Royal Collection Trust. In many ways, he functioned as a king-in-waiting long before he officially became one. Beyond formal duties, Charles built a legacy that stretched far beyond palace walls. He showed a deep concern for people, especially the younger generation. Through the creation of the Prince's Trust, he opened doors for countless young individuals, helping them gain skills, confidence, and opportunities to build better futures. This initiative alone has changed lives on a massive scale, offering hope where it was often lacking. His charity work went far beyond simple donations. Through the Prince's charities and his support for more than 800 organizations, he worked across many areas of life, including education, healthcare, community growth, and the arts. He was never a distant supporter. Instead, he stayed involved, used his voice, and pushed for real change in causes he cared about deeply. One of the most remarkable parts of his life was his early concern for the environment. Long before climate change became a global topic, he was already speaking about it and encouraging action. He supported organic farming, greener living, and the protection of nature. Even when many people did not yet agree with these ideas, he remained steady, showing courage, patience, and clear vision for the future of the planet. He inspired many people around the world to think differently and take responsibility for protecting the earth for future generations together. His decades as heir shaped him into a leader who understands both tradition and change. He witnessed shifts in society, politics, and global priorities, and learned how to navigate them while staying rooted in the values of the monarchy. By the time he finally became king, he was not stepping into the unknown. He was stepping into a role he had been preparing for his entire life. King Charles. The third story is not simply about waiting. It is about using time wisely, turning years of anticipation into years of purpose. His life as the longest-serving heir apparent is a powerful reminder that preparation, patience, and commitment can shape a legacy long before the moment of recognition arrives. What made King Charles burst into tears? Where and when did it happen? Let's delve into the details of the comment that broke the king. Inside King Charles' emotional moment. There are moments in life that quietly stay with a person forever. For King Charles III, one of those moments reportedly came not from a grand ceremony or royal duty, but from something far more personal, hearing his son speak about the future. The story goes back to a 2019 documentary aired on ITV. In it, a young Prince William was seen visiting a tenant farmer on the Duchy of Cornwall estate. At the time, William was already preparing for a future role he would one day step into, managing the duchy, a large and historic estate that had long been under the careful care of his father. The conversation was simple, calm, and deeply meaningful. As William walked across the open fields beside the farmer, listening to the quiet rhythm of rural life, he began to reflect on responsibility, family duty, and what it truly means to inherit something shaped by history and expectation. Every step seemed to deepen his thoughts. He was not speaking like someone lost in distant dreams or imagination. Instead, his words and silence carried the weight of awareness, as though he was slowly beginning to understand the future waiting for him and the role he would one day be expected to fulfill. He shared thoughts about how important it is to understand the land, the people who work on it, and the value of keeping traditions alive while also adapting to modern needs. William also admitted that he had already started thinking about the role he would one day play. There was a sense of quiet seriousness in his words, as if he was already carrying part of the responsibility even before it officially became his. For most viewers, it was a touching but ordinary royal documentary moment. But for King Charles, watching his son speak that way carried a much deeper emotional weight. Behind closed doors, Charles later revealed that the scene affected him more than he expected. As he watched William calmly discuss the future of the duchy, something inside him shifted. It was not just pride in his son's maturity. It was also the emotional realization that time had moved forward, whether he felt ready or not. For over 50 years, Charles had been deeply involved in managing the Duchy of Cornwall. He had poured his energy into improving its lands, supporting its tenants, and shaping it into something sustainable for the next generation. It was not just work to him. It was a lifelong mission. He had spent decades building systems, restoring trust, and preparing the estate to be handed down in good condition. So when he saw William speaking with such care and seriousness about taking over one day, it hit him in a very personal way. It was like watching the result of all those years of effort finally come alive in another person. Charles admitted that the moment brought him to tears. It was not sadness in a painful sense, but an overwhelming emotional release. He felt a deep sense of validation, like his life's work had not only been meaningful, but truly understood by the next generation. Even more than that, it was a father seeing his son grow into responsibility. It was the quiet passing of a torch, not through ceremony or announcement, but through understanding and shared purpose. For Charles, the emotional weight came from realizing that leadership is not just about holding power or managing land. It is also about preparing someone else to carry it forward with care and respect. In William's words, he saw that preparation reflected back to him. That is why he later described the moment in such emotional terms. Hearing William speak did not simply remind him of succession in a formal sense. It reminded him that the future he had worked toward was no longer distant. It was already taking shape in the hands of his son. And in that realization, King Charles found something unexpected but deeply human: the quiet comfort of knowing that what he built would continue, and that it was understood by the one who would one day carry it on. How did King Charles hand over to Prince William? Was it a sudden move or a gradual process? Let's dive into the details of the steady preparation for a new era in the monarchy. No rush, no drama. There is growing speculation that is quietly preparing for a future transfer of power to his heir, Prince William, though not in the form of an immediate abdication. Instead, reports suggest that behind the closed doors of the palace, attention is slowly shifting toward planning a smooth and steady handover whenever that moment eventually arrives. These conversations are said to reflect a careful and thoughtful approach to the future of the monarchy. Rather than sudden changes or public drama, the focus appears to be on stability, order, and long-term planning. Those close to royal affairs describe an atmosphere where continuity is valued above all else, ensuring that the institution remains steady no matter what happens. At the center of these preparations is Prince William's steadily growing role in royal duties. He is now being given more responsibilities than before, taking part in key meetings and contributing more actively to important decisions that guide the future of the royal household. This gradual increase in his workload is not sudden but carefully planned, allowing him to learn and adapt step by step. Over time, this steady involvement is seen as a natural way of preparing him for future leadership, helping him gain experience, confidence, and understanding without pressure or force. It reflects a careful, long-term strategic planning process. This gradual rise in responsibility also serves another purpose. It helps the public become more familiar with William as a future monarch, allowing them to observe his approach, values, and leadership style in real situations. In this way, the transition is not rushed, but instead built step by step, creating a sense of trust and continuity. The report also draws attention to concerns surrounding his health and the heavy demands of his role. While there is no official announcement about any timeline for change, such concerns have naturally led to renewed discussions about succession planning. Even so, insiders emphasize that the king remains deeply focused on the long-term strength and unity of the monarchy. Because of this, any planning that is taking place is believed to be quiet, careful, and respectful of tradition. It is not about stepping away suddenly, but about making sure that the institution is never left uncertain or unprepared. This kind of forward thinking is seen as part of protecting the monarchy from instability. Importantly, the transition being described is not abrupt or forced. Instead, it is viewed as a slow and managed process where duties are gradually shared and adjusted over time. In this arrangement is thought to prefer easing responsibilities in stages rather than making a quick exit, allowing experience to be passed on naturally. This approach would give the chance to grow steadily into his future role. With each added responsibility, he gains more experience, more visibility, and a deeper understanding of what leadership may require. At the same time, it ensures the monarchy remains stable, respected, and consistent in the eyes of the public. Such a gradual method also helps reduce uncertainty. When leadership changes are carefully prepared, there is less confusion and fewer disruptions. The public can adjust slowly, and the institution itself can continue functioning without interruption. In many ways, this careful preparation is seen as a way of protecting trust in the crown. In a broader sense, these developments are not unusual for a constitutional monarchy. Systems built on tradition often rely on steady transitions rather than sudden shifts. The aim is always to preserve continuity, maintain public confidence, and ensure that each generation is prepared to take on responsibility when the time comes. Over recent years, has increasingly been visible in both national and international engagements. These duties help build his experience and strengthen his public presence as someone already active in service. Meanwhile, continues to pursue long-standing interests in environmental causes, charity work, and modernization of royal life, shaping a reign focused on relevance and adaptation. Many observers believe that this quiet and gradual preparation is designed to ensure that the monarchy remains stable even in times of uncertainty. It allows both father and son to work in harmony, each contributing to the strength of the institution in different ways. The process is slow, deliberate, and carefully designed for the future. This ensures lasting stability for the nation ahead, peacefully. Does Prince William seem ready to take up the leadership of the monarchy from his father? For how long has he been preparing to take over the role? Let's dig into the details of Prince William's readiness and preparation to ascend the throne, growing into his future as king. Prince William, the Prince of Wales, is now widely seen by royal experts as someone who is as prepared as he can possibly be for the role of king. This does not mean the job will be easy or fully known in advance. Instead, it means that over many years, he has slowly and steadily been shaped, trained, and trusted with more responsibility, so that one day he can step into the role with confidence and stability. Unlike sudden changes that happen overnight, William's journey has been gradual. From a young age, he was already aware that his life would be different from most people's. But in recent years, the weight of that future has become much more real. As King Charles III has taken on the responsibilities of the crown, more duties have also naturally been passed on to William. This has allowed him to grow not just in title, but in real experience. Today, he is more visible on the world stage than ever before. He represents the royal family in important events, meets leaders from different countries, supports major charities, and takes part in conversations that carry both national and global importance. These are not symbolic tasks alone. They require careful thinking, calm behavior, and a strong sense of duty. Over time, William has shown that he can handle these pressures with patience and focus. Royal experts often point out that this long process of preparation is intentional. The monarchy does not usually rush such transitions. Instead, it builds experience step by step. William has been given increasing responsibility in stages, allowing him to learn how to manage public expectations, media attention, and diplomatic situations. Each stage has helped him become more confident and capable. Another important point raised by commentators is his leadership style. William is often described as someone who respects tradition but also understands the need for change. He does not appear to be trying to break away from the history of the monarchy. Instead, he seems to be working on making it more connected to modern life. This includes being more open, more relatable, and more aware of everyday challenges faced by ordinary people. This balance between tradition and modern thinking is seen as one of his strongest qualities. It suggests that if and when he becomes king, he may lead in a way that keeps the dignity of the crown while also making it feel more accessible to the public. However, his readiness is not only about public duty or leadership skills, it is also about mindset. Those who observe him closely say that William has already accepted the reality of his future role. He understands that becoming king is not just a title, but a lifelong responsibility that comes with constant pressure, attention, and expectation. Despite this, he is often described as calm and steady in the way he carries himself. Even during busy schedules or serious events, he appears composed and focused. This emotional balance is important because the role of a monarch requires not only knowledge and duty, but also stability under pressure. In many ways, William is no longer seen simply as someone waiting for the throne. He is now viewed as an active leader in preparation. Every speech, every visit, and every duty he carries out is part of a larger process of shaping him for the future. As time continues, his role will likely grow even further. And while the exact moment of transition cannot be predicted, what is clear is that Prince William is steadily moving from being the heir to becoming a fully prepared future king. Does the public believe in Prince William's abilities as the next king? What does the populace see of William's activities that make them trust his abilities? Let's find out. Public confidence in Prince William's readiness for the throne. Across royal commentary and public discussion, there is a noticeable shift in how people view the future of Prince William, the Prince of Wales. Many experts and observers now express a growing sense of confidence, mixed with careful optimism, about his eventual role as king. The general feeling is that he is as ready as he'll ever be, a simple phrase that carries a deep meaning. He has spent years being prepared, shaped by duty, and steadily trained for a responsibility that few people in the world can truly understand. This confidence has not appeared overnight. It has been built slowly through years of visible service and increasing responsibility within the royal family. Prince William has gradually moved from being seen mainly as the heir to the throne into a more active and central figure in national and international matters. His public duties now extend far beyond ceremonial appearances. He is often involved in major events, global engagements, and initiatives that touch on issues such as mental health, environmental protection, and community development. Each of these roles has helped to strengthen the image of a future king who is learning on the job while already carrying significant weight. Royal experts often point out that this steady rise in responsibility has played a major role in shaping public perception. Instead of being viewed as someone waiting in the background, William is now seen as someone already practicing leadership in real time. His calm manner, careful communication, and consistent presence have helped build trust among many people who believe the monarchy needs stability in uncertain times. Public sentiment, as reflected in discussions and expert analysis, leans toward acceptance of his future reign. Many see him as a figure who represents a balance between tradition and modern life. On one hand, he respects the long history and customs of the monarchy. On the other, he appears open to gradual change, understanding that the royal institution must remain relevant in a rapidly evolving world. This ability to stand between the old and the new is one of the reasons people often describe him as a steady hand for the future. There is also a growing belief that Prince William understands the emotional and symbolic role of the monarchy in today's society. He is not only expected to lead as a formal head of state, but also to connect with people in a more personal and relatable way. His public appearances often reflect a quieter, more grounded approach compared to more distant or formal styles of leadership seen in earlier generations. This has helped many members of the public feel that he is approachable and in touch with real-life concerns. Still, despite the rising confidence, there remains an important sense of caution in how his readiness is described. The phrase, "as ready as he'll ever be," quietly reminds people that no amount of preparation can fully prepare someone for the moment of becoming king. The role itself carries enormous pressure, responsibility, and unpredictability. It is a position shaped not only by training and experience, but also by events that cannot be planned or controlled. In this way, the public view of Prince William is both hopeful and realistic. There is admiration for how far he has come and belief in his ability to lead, but also an understanding that kingship is unlike any other role. It is this mix of confidence and humility in expectation that continues to define how people see his path to the throne. Are there doubts in Prince William's abilities to rule as king? What concerns have been raised so far? Let's find out. Royal concerns over Prince William's future as king. There is a growing wave of concern among royal observers and commentators about what the future might look like when Prince William, the Prince of Wales, eventually becomes king. While many see him as a modern and thoughtful future monarch, Others fear that his ideas for change could reshape the monarchy in ways that might not be fully positive in the long run. Prince William has made it clear on several occasions that he wants a monarchy that feels more relevant and fit for purpose in today's world. In simple terms, he appears to believe that the royal in there is a growing wave of concern among royal observers and commentators about what the future might look like when Prince William, the Prince of Wales, eventually becomes king. Institution should evolve with modern times instead of holding tightly to every old tradition simply because it has always existed. To some people, this is refreshing and necessary. They see him as someone trying to keep the monarchy alive and meaningful for younger generations who live in a very different world compared to the past. However, not everyone is convinced. Some royal experts worry that changing too much, too quickly, could weaken the very foundation that has kept the monarchy respected for centuries. They argue that tradition is not just about old customs, but about stability, identity, and continuity. If those are reduced or altered too much, the monarchy could lose some of its unique place in British life. One of the biggest concerns raised is Prince William's strong focus on family life and personal privacy. Unlike the more traditional expectation that senior royals should be highly visible and constantly engaged in public duties, William is known to place great importance on protecting his children and maintaining a more private home life. While many admire him for being a devoted father, critics worry that a reduced public presence could slowly weaken the bond between the monarchy and the people. For decades, Queen Elizabeth II maintained a strong and consistent visibility, which helped the public feel connected to the crown. Some fear that stepping away from this level of visibility could create distance and reduce emotional attachment to the royal family. There is also growing speculation that William might prefer a more flexible or modern working style of monarchy, where duties are carefully balanced rather than always constant and highly formal. This idea has led to talk, though not confirmed, that he could adopt a slightly less traditional approach to royal service. Critics describe this as potentially making the monarchy feel less constant and less dependable in its symbolic role. Another point of discussion is his communication style. Prince William is often seen as more open, direct, and informal compared to earlier generations of royals. While this makes him relatable and approachable, some experts believe it could also lead to tensions within the royal household, especially if his vision differs from that of King Charles III. Differences in how the monarchy should evolve may not always be easy to manage behind palace doors. In addition, there is ongoing debate about how far modernization should go. Supporters of change believe the monarchy must adapt or risk becoming outdated in a fast-changing world. However, critics warn that too much modernization could blur the meaning of the institution itself, turning it into something less defined and less powerful in the public imagination. Overall, Prince William's approach is seen as both hopeful and uncertain. On one hand, it reflects a caring, family-focused, and modern leader who wants the monarchy to stay relevant. On the other hand, it raises serious questions about balance: how to modernize without losing tradition, how to stay private without becoming distant, and how to change without weakening an institution that has stood for centuries. So, what do you think about King Charles's decision to hand over to William? Do you think William is prepared for the job? We'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.